Now on CoastTV News.
Workforce housing plans. A rezoning request could bring new homes to Georgetown. What town leaders said tonight. Rebate debate. Plans to eliminate a tax cut in Cambridge under fire. What it means for property owners. And back home. The last known living American hostage in Gaza released after nearly 2 years. His family's reaction to his return.
This is CoastTV News at 11.
Big changes could be coming to this 21-acre plot of land in Georgetown. Good evening. I'm Christina DeRobertis. Welcome to Coast TV News at 11. We begin tonight with new Sussex County development plans, this time in Georgetown on North Bedford Street. Developers say they want to add new homes and apartments there, but first they do need to get the land rezoned. The plans are for workforce affordable housing, 60 single-family homes, 28 duplexes, and 20 townhomes. And we've heard many times that there is a need for workforce housing across the county. Sussex County Habitat for Humanity were invited by the developer to be part of the solution to that issue.
The houses that they plan to build in this community are basically for workforce housing. So people who have jobs but they can't afford the higher market rate houses that are out there right now, but they still want to be homeowners.
And so the Georgetown Council heard the first reading for this land use update tonight. No decisions were made, but the proposal is expected to be up for a vote on May 27th at another Georgetown meeting. But just to be clear, this is only a proposal to adjust the land use map and allow for rezoning there. Approval does not automatically mean that the development is going to be built. Also in Georgetown, Food Truck Tuesdays is returning tomorrow after a 6-year hiatus. The pre-pandemic event coming back to East Market Street. The event will host food trucks on the 2nd and 4th Tuesdays of each month. That's from May until August. Tomorrow's event will be held from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And now we're going to go ahead and take a live look outside into Lewis and turn things over to our First Alert Chief Meteorologist, Paul Williams. Good evening, Paul.
Good evening to you, Christina. And overall, we're starting to see a few sprinkles beginning to migrate quickly into our immediate area. Now we see a few sprinkles being manifested throughout portions of Georgetown right now, headed towards Milton. Nothing that's heavy, just a drop or two at this point, but we're expecting to become a little more pronounced as we go along. We do have very gusty winds along the shoreline for us right now, and so we have the active small craft advisory, meaning that the waters are a bit choppy right off of the beaches, and we're looking at that 25 to possibly even 30 mile per hour wind gust to kick in for us. And a wider view is showing us that we're concerned about widespread flooding actually throughout portions of Virginia. This is part of a bigger system that's going to slowly ease its way close to us, but it won't be a direct hit. We'll talk more about that coming up in a few moments. Till then, back to you.
Thanks, Paul. Now we go to Rehoboth Beach, where city officials announced today this demolition work on the 1 Rehoboth Avenue site will be extended. It was originally supposed to wrap up this week, but the city says as crews started tearing down the motel and the Grotto Pizza there, they found structural issues, making it just too dangerous to leave the building standing through summer. We spoke with some locals and businesses about it today. Beach season is just around the corner, but ocean views on the Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk will come with a side of demolition crews a little bit longer. Work near Baltimore Avenue continues as crews clear out the old Grotto Pizza and Sirocco Motel. The Onyx Group, which manages this project, was granted an extension until June 13th after the building's structure was deemed unstable. It's not exactly welcome news for boardwalk businesses.
That is going to hurt businesses on the boardwalk, especially the north end.
Work will be mostly limited to weekdays from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. with a break for Memorial Day weekend. Some say they're curious, but not too concerned.
I don't really think it'll affect the traffic on the streets, but the boardwalk, it might slow down the people walking and people watching it probably. Other than that, I don't think it's a problem.
And for Mark Blattel, it's just part of adapting to change.
You can't stop progress. You may have to go around it or get under it or over it or around it, but it's going to happen.
Demolition dragging on in Rehoboth Beach. Now Now, right next to that demolition, the Beach Patrol Station is gearing up for its grand opening. Preliminary work began back in December 2023, and according to the city, the project's cost is about $5.5 million, which is about $750,000 over budget. The grand opening for the Beach Patrol Station will be Thursday, May 22nd. Well, Milford neighbors are voicing their opinions, helping shape the future of their city. A national community survey sent randomly to 3,000 Milford homes gave them a chance to share feedback, and the results highlighted priorities like getting around town, which ranked at 42%, while the economy scored 54%. Safety topped priorities at 62%. City leaders say the feedback and data is crucial, especially now as the 2026 fiscal year is right around the corner.
We're actually using this survey to help guide us, for the upcoming budget. So you will see different department heads discussing initiatives to fix those areas.
And these results were presented and discussed at tonight's town council meeting in Milford. In Dorchester County, there's a bit of a rebate debate going on. Former City of Cambridge Mayor Cleveland Rippins now speaking out against the idea of the tax rebate being eliminated. Rippins suggested it back in 2007 during his term as mayor. It compensates property owners in Cambridge and Hurlock for services they already pay for through municipal taxes like policing and road maintenance. Rippins says it's unfair.
The homeowners are already telling you how bad they're taxed. And my question is, why should residents of Cambridge subsidize the entire county?
And Dorchester County is facing a multi-million-dollar deficit right now. County leaders say potentially eliminating the rebate is one of the options to help pay the bills. Well, according to the town of Ocean City, more people have been setting up tents along the beach, and more people are sending complaints about those tents. CoastTV News reporter Kevin Zappe shows us how some people say the tents do more harm than good.
There's plenty of room on the beach today here in Ocean City, but when those summer crowds hit, good spots and good views are few and far between. Tents have become a popular accessory along the coast, and the town of Ocean City has been receiving more and more complaints. Local Mark Deckish understands why.
I would probably ban them so you'd have unobstructed view of the beach and not prevent people from walking down back and forth.
On Tuesday, the Ocean City Council will go over all the complaints they've received about tents, mostly about obstructing the view, making it hard to reach the water, and even about makeshift campsites.
My vote would be to ban them. I would not have anything allowed on the beaches.
We talked to one vacationer who says he doesn't have a problem with the tents being posted up near the shore, and says if you do have a problem with it, to come either early or during the off-season. Safety is another issue. The town will discuss the dangers of all these tents along the coast, including blocking the view of lifeguards, crafting obstacles for ATVs responding to an emergency, and the metal parts and pieces that get left behind. Just last year, 750 parts were found by the town. Deckish has a simple solution.
Just umbrellas. Yeah, that's what I would suggest. And that would be your typical beach you'd see up and down the coast would be just having umbrellas. That would be it.
No matter what, sun and sand will still be a part of the Ocean City experience. What the town council still has to decide is whether you could bring your own shade.
And that was CoastTV's Kevin Zappe reporting there. So the Ocean City Council says they will look at other beach towns to see what regulations they currently have in place. And talking about other beach towns, let's take a closer look at other towns' rules on tents and canopies. In Rehoboth, the city has banned tents and canopies. In Dewey Beach, the town has also banned tents on the beach, but canopies are allowed. There's just specific rules for them. In Bethany Beach, the town does not allow tents, canopies, tarps, or cabanas, but for all of these beaches, small baby tents are allowed. And this does bring us to our CoastTV poll. We want to know what bothers you about beach tents. Let's take a look at the results, see what bothers you all. 46% saying crowding, 29% saying nothing, 5% say it's a tripping hazard, 20% worried about the blocked view. We also did get a comment tonight from Marion in Ocean Pines. She says tents are for camping, not the beach. And we want to know what you think. You can still vote. You can leave a comment yourself. Just head over to CoastTV.com or use our mobile app. Well, in national news tonight, progress seemingly being made in the Israel-Hamas war as Israeli-American hostage Idan Alexander, the last known living American hostage in Gaza, he returned to Israel on Monday after his release by Hamas. President Donald Trump crediting Steve Witkoff, U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, with assisting the negotiation talks that eventually led to his release. Sherelle Hubbard has more on the joyous reunion.
Oh my God, Idan Alexander's mother speaking to her son after Hamas released him. On Monday, 21-year-old Idan Alexander was handed over to the Red Cross. He later arrived at an Israeli military base for a medical assessment, and after that, a chance to see his mother in person. A shriek of jubilation from a mother who didn't know if she'd ever see her son Idan again. The jubilation spreading to the Alexander family, who hosted a watch party for Idan, who was the last known living American hostage in Gaza. His family crediting the Trump administration for its efforts to secure his release.
This was achieved thanks to our military pressure and the diplomatic pressure applied by President Trump.
Alexander was held captive for more than 19 months after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7, 2023, abducted near the Gaza border while serving with Israel's military. His return came after several days of talks with Hamas and the U.S. amid negotiations on a ceasefire and resuming humanitarian aid into Gaza. Crowds into Tel Aviv's so-called Hostage Square cheered the release of Alexander Monday, but supporters urging both Israel and America to not forget about all the hostages who remain.
I'm calling President Donald Trump to continue and to get all the hostages back home.
I'm Sherelle Hubbard reporting.
And don't go anywhere. We still have more news to tell you about tonight. Coming up ahead, rock roadblocks. Ocean City's Boardwalk Rock Festival loses headliners and faces rain. How the show will go on. But first, a new state symbol in Delaware. Why and how this dragonfly was selected.
Here's a look at your Bay forecast. Looking for scattered showers on Tuesday, cloudy on Wednesday, and another round of rain on Thursday. But that Thursday rain has a bit of a twist to it. We'll talk about that coming up in 60 seconds. Taking a look outside right now, cloud cover is beginning to thicken for us a bit, and we are indeed bracing for scattered showers. Now, here's the key about this rain. Once it kicks in, it continues to kick right along throughout most of the work week. Our dry take camera, we're at 64 degrees with 10-mile-per-hour winds. We're going to stay in the mid-60s for the rest of the night with partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the 60s, and we're going to hover there. Because the cloud cover is so thick, it's acting like a really thick quilt or blanket, and it's keeping the heat close to the ground, but we're not allowing for it to escape in the atmosphere. So we're going to stay in the 60s throughout the majority of the evening hours. And add to that the fact that the winds are coming out of the south. That's also going to help add just a small little skosh of additional heat and energy in place. We have the small craft advisory in effect for just about all the beaches: Lewis, Rehoboth, Bottom Hills, Ocean View, Fenwick Island, bracing for very blustery conditions along the beaches. This is also inclusive of Ocean City, down towards Chincoteague. We're watching out for 25-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Now, this is also a concern for us over in Cambridge, Cornerstone, and the Madison area until Tuesday at about 6 o'clock in the evening. Overall, we're keeping a close eye on the amount of rain that we anticipate as well, because we have a widespread area of concern for a flood watch, because we're looking for a wave of rain that's going to come in out of the south and out of the southwest. That's going to really stop just shy of our immediate area, but it could lean in our direction, so we want to keep a close monitoring eye on that at the very least. Light rain for tonight with winds out of the southeast, temperatures staying in the 60s, as we mentioned earlier. Look at the widespread rain we're expecting by lunchtime, according to our higher resolution rapid refresh model. And we're seeing this rain that's going to continue throughout the evening time, according to that model. So for Tuesday, cloudy with showers overtaking the area. Wednesday, heavy pre-dawn showers. Just before the sun comes up, we're going to get hit by a blast of rain. But for tomorrow, in the 70s, 73 in Millsboro, for example, and in Cambridge, and we are expecting a high of 70 degrees, places like Snow Hill as well as Berlin. We have an 85% chance of rain on Tuesday, 49% chance on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, but we're going to have a lion's share of a chances of rain really Tuesday during the day and the evening. So we have all day rain there. Wednesday morning, we start off cloudy, then it clears out. But Thursday, when that rain kicks back in, it's going to be serious. You see, we started at about Tuesday, watching out for about a half an inch, 3/4 of an inch. As we progress throughout the rest of the time period here, you'll notice we go up to about 1.25 inches. But that's back down from 2 inches when we ran the model earlier this evening. 66 for us is Snow Hill, Newark, and Berlin. You see by 6:30 in the evening, we see widespread scattered showers for Tuesday. Then it backs off big time on Wednesday. And then from Wednesday going into Thursday, we see light rain again, then another round of light rain that will hit our area. Finally, here's a look at the extended forecast. Like we say, heavier rain, heavier wave on Tuesday, back off Wednesday, then Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We're looking at the hat trick of rain.
Sounds good. Thank you, Paul. Well, a new state symbol in Delaware is getting ready to take flight. Delaware plans to make the blue dasher the state dragonfly. It's one of the most common and widespread dragonflies in North America. And earlier this year, students were asked to make their case for which species deserved the honor through an essay and an art contest. Delaware lawmakers plan to introduce legislation in the coming weeks to officially make the blue dasher the state dragonfly. Well, in Ocean City, headliner hiccups and a poor weather forecast are not dampening spirits for the next music festival. Back in April, Boardwalk Rock's headliner Motley Crue backed out for medical reasons. Then, over this weekend, so did its replacement, Alice in Chains. On top of that, it could rain on Saturday night, but one business owner says he's not too worried about it.
There's a nuance, there's a part, like a rock attitude, and I've been to festivals where it's rained a little bit and you just kind of lose yourself in the music anyway. So I don't think anybody should be overthinking this.
And Boardwalk Rock starts Saturday in Ocean City. Coming up next, Diddy's day in court. What happened on day one of the music mogul's federal trial? New tonight, the U.S. and China coming out of a marathon weekend of talks by agreeing to drastically reduce tariffs on one another's imports for at least 90 days. With this new 90-day agreement, which takes effect Wednesday, the U.S. will lower tariffs on Chinese goods from 145% to 30%. China will cut its levies on U.S. imports from 125% to 10%. And the director of the National Economic Council described it as a, quote, historic fresh start.
If you do anything that might change the status quo, then that's going to add to uncertainty. But the uncertainty is on the right side of the American worker, because ultimately, if the uncertainty works, then you move to a better place. And that's what we're seeing in country after country after country.
Now, global markets reacted in positive fashion to today's news. It's also a sigh of relief for at least 90 days for businesses and consumers. Meanwhile, after a delay, the high-profile case against music mogul Sean Diddy Combs is underway. The jury seated and opening statements are complete, and the music mogul is facing 5 federal charges, including racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. Lee Waldman reports from the federal courthouse in New York.
8 months after embattled music mogul Sean Diddy Combs was arrested on federal charges, his trial is underway. 6 of Combs' 7 children and his mother supporting him in court Monday as the prosecution and defense made their opening statements. The prosecution letting jurors know their case will focus on 2 of Combs' accusers, including ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, who is seen in this disturbing hotel surveillance footage being kicked and dragged by Combs back in 2016.
Seeing somebody behave in a reprehensible way on a video does not mean that the prosecution can prove every element of the crimes that are charged here.
Prosecutors told the jury will hear that Ventura and Combs were both, quote, unfaithful, jealous, and at times angry, but only one of them had power. Only one of them had control. Prosecutors allege Combs coerced Ventura and at least 2 other women into having sex with him and male prostitutes, according to the federal indictment. The indictment alludes to federal searches of Combs' homes where law enforcement seized various items used in sexual encounters known as freak-offs, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. The defense telling jurors Monday morning Combs' quote, love of baby oil is not a federal crime. And while evidence will show that Combs was, quote, a very flawed individual, the defense says there is not evidence of racketeering or trafficking, but said it would, quote, take responsibility for drug use and domestic violence.
I mean, I hit rock bottom, but I made no excuses.
Now, Combs is facing life in prison if he's found guilty on those charges of racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. He has pleaded not guilty to all charges. Coming up in sports tonight, Polytech girls soccer is in the midst of another dominant year. Could they start off the final week of the regular season with a win?
This is CoastTV News at 11.
President Trump signed an executive order today that aims to cut prescription drug prices. A White House official saying the action makes a promise to crack down on other countries' quote unreasonable practices that suppress drug prices. The administration's executive order would apply to a wide range of drugs and prices in the commercial market. It would include Medicare and Medicaid. The Department of Health and Human Services would work to negotiate lower prices.
The principle is simple. Whatever the lowest price paid for a drug in other developed countries, that is the price that Americans will pay.
And Trump's executive order comes as the administration has been considering imposing tariffs on pharmaceutical imports. Well, the first at-home device that can detect cervical cancer has been approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Experts hoping it will encourage more women to be screened. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has a look at the device and explains how it works.
It's called the Teal Wand, the first at-home cervical cancer screening device that allows a patient to collect their own sample and send it off to a lab to test for human papillomavirus, which causes most of this type of cancer. It's an alternative to the traditional test, a pap smear done by a doctor.
We need to find better ways to screen patients. And what we're doing just really isn't working well enough.
The American Cancer Society applauds the new FDA approval of this device, hoping that it'll encourage more women to be regularly tested. It's estimated that about 1 in 4 adults are not up to date on cervical cancer screening recommendations, according to 2021 data. Here's what to know about the kit. It'll require a prescription. After that, you can request the kit at the Teal Health website. The results are reviewed by a clinician and shared back. If they're positive, you will be referred for a follow-up. The company plans to begin shipping the kits in June. Teal Health is in talks with health insurance companies about having the kit covered. But for those without insurance, the company says the cost will be announced within the next month.
You know, you can do home mortgages, buy a car, do all complicated financial transactions. But I think we need to think about ways to do medical care, medical treatment, medical evaluations in the same way as we think about so many things today in our current life. And this is a great first step.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The Delmarva Sports Network from the Wawa Studios.
Polytech girls soccer continued its hunt for something special today in the final week of the regular season. If the Panthers win 2 of their final 3 games, they'll have double-digit wins for the 3rd straight year. And today they took on Sussex Tech. Early on, Emma Carey launches a long ball down the field for Sierra Henry, and the junior makes the most of it, going up high to put Polytech ahead 1-0. And Carey wasn't done this time on the corner. She swoops in, gets a deflection, and finishes. Panthers ahead 2-0. Later in the half, it's now 3-0 Poly. Ava Gim has more to say, uses the left foot for her 2nd goal of the day. That makes it 4-0 Polytech at the half. In the second half, Sussex Tech finally breaks through thanks to Kyla Laz battling through white jerseys and scoring to make it a 3-goal game. And they weren't done. Brianna Gabbert on the break. Lasers one past the keeper. Ravens back within 2. But Ava Gim and Polytech had the final say. She barrels in her 3rd of the game for a hat trick, and that's more than enough for Polytech to win it 5-2. Then on the diamond, Laurel and Polytech each hope to snap losing streaks today. The Panthers bounce back with a tight 4-3 win over the Bulldogs. This marks the second straight season the Panthers have notched 10 regular season wins. That'll do it for sports. Have a great night, everyone.
Well, 80 years ago this week, a German submarine surrendered off the coast of Lewis, the first Axis surrender in U.S. waters. Our special story, Surrender at Sea, looks at how Delaware played a role in the final days of World War II, and you can catch that story Wednesday during CoastTV News at 6. We'll be right back. Well, if you're into moon gazing at all, Sunday and Monday night will be a perfect time to watch May's full moon. It's also known as the flower moon. The flower moon got its nickname to signify the many blossoms of spring, and May's full moon also a micro moon. This happens when the moon is at its greatest distance from Earth and it appears smaller than a typical full moon.
Congratulations on that. By the way, our Terry Baylor is our winner from Lewis. Congratulations, courtesy of Paul Davis Restoration Home Remodeling. Keep up with your forecast by calling our weather line, 443-880-9100. Your forecast is just a call away, sponsored by the law offices of Brockstead, Mandalis, and Federico. Finally, here's a look at your exclusive 10-day forecast. We are watching out for rain for Tuesday, really the whole day. And then going into Wednesday morning, before the sun comes up, we're going to get dumped with a heavier amount of shower activity. Take a bit of a brief break. Then Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, more rain will kick in.
All right, got it. Thank you, Paul, and thanks for joining us for Coast TV News at 11. For some more local news and local weather, you can download our Coast TV News app. The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon, that's up next, and we'll see you back tomorrow for Coast TV News at 5 a.m. Have a great night.